Well, hello there, and this is Auntie. Welcome to Auntie's Advice Podcast, where we talk all things lifestyle. In this series, we're going to be talking about finances. Yes, finances. And we're going to be using that taboo word, budgeting. In this series, you're going to learn the basics of budgeting. Oh my goodness. Who wants to talk about that? We do. It is time for us as women to get ahead of the game. It is time for us to stop all of that unnecessary shopping and really focus on our futures. Yes, there's nothing wrong with doing a little bit of shopping, but the first thing that we have to do is to make sure that our budgets meet our purchases. So, come along with me as we learn the 5 basics of budgeting. Okay, so before we proceed, let's have our get real moment. Our get real moment is Auntie, why are you talking about budgeting and finances and think that that has anything to do with lifestyle? Well, as you know, lifestyle is what you can afford. If you are, as they say, quote unquote, living on a beer budget, wanting a champagne life, then there's something that you need to do within your financial situation to move yourself up to that champagne level, if that's where you want to live. There are a lot of Americans who are living a lifestyle where they are up to their neck in credit card debt or some other kind of debt. And it is my job as a Titus 2 woman to help you get your life together so that you can live the life that you want to live, not the life that you have to live. And so, the very first thing that we have to do is get control, self control over our budget. Now, for me, it's very hard for me to budget, but it's something that I've found myself having to do more and more, especially as I get closer and closer to retirement. As I've always said, I am closer to 60 than I am to 50. And it is now time for me to live out my life, my best life, vacationing or doing all of those things that you do after retirement. So I want to be that person that gives it to you straight, no chaser, because we don't need chasers over here. That is why we're talking about finances and budgeting. Because in order for you to live the lifestyle that you would like to live, we have to manage and be a good steward over our finances. Thank you for joining me in that Get Real moment. Budgeting made easy. Steps 1 through 5. Calculate your net income. Identify expenses, fixed or variable. Calculate your expenses. Plan your budget, sis, and then make it a habit. Let's discuss. So you're still here? Good. So let's talk about step 1 of the 5 basics of budgeting. Step 1 is calculate your net income. Some individuals' income can be calculated by adding up all the money that you've earned from various sources, such as your salary, your wages, your tip, commissions, rental income, etc., etc. But it's important to note that income can be both gross and it can be your net. Now, your gross is the income that you earn before taxes and deductions, such as health care, Social Security, etc., etc. Your net income is the amount earned after taxes and deductions. So, we're going to talk about the 5 examples of net income because I think it's important that you understand that some of the things that you don't usually count, you really need to count them. So, number 1 for net income. What does it mean to have net income? Net income is in 5 categories. I'm going to give you 5 examples of what net income is. Number 1, after tax salary. Your after tax salary is the amount of money you earn from your job after taxes and other deductions have been taken out. Number two for net income is your rental income. If you own a rental property, the net income will be the amount of rent that you receive after deducting expenses such as your mortgage payment, property taxes, and maybe maintenance costs if you have written that into your rental agreement. Number three would be your investment income. This includes dividends, interest, capital gains earned from investments such as stocks, bonds, and mutual funds after taxes and other fees have already been deducted. Your self employment is number four. If you are self employed, your net income will be the amount of the money you earn from your business after deducting expenses such as rent, supplies, and other business related costs. And number five would be your pension. Yes, that pension, that 401k, that TSP, wherever you work, that would be your pension income. So if you receive your pension, your net income would be the amount that you receive after taxes and other deductions have been taken out. Step two of the five basics of budgeting is expenses. There are two categories for expenses, and they are either fixed or variable. So the first one that we're going to discuss is your fixed expenses. Monthly fixed expenses are expenses that remain the same amount every month and are necessary for maintaining your standard of living. Your standard of living. I was always told that if you don't do nothing else, you make sure that you keep a roof over your head. That is your primary fixed expense is your rent or your mortgage. Your second one is your zoom, zoom, zoom with the zoom, zoom, your car payment. And your third could be your insurance. You may have subscriptions if you're a content creator to Netflix or Spotify, depends on what you're doing, your internet and your cable bill, your your phone bill, your cellular phone, your smartphone can now replace some of the other things that you have, and that may be what you need as a fixed income. It depends on the kind of job that you do. We live and breathe sometimes by our cell phones. So that would be what I would consider for my lifestyle a fixed income. It could also be your gym membership, your home security system, your property taxes, and your student loan payments. These expenses are considered fixed because they do not change from month to month, regardless of how much you use them. But let me tell you this, it is important to budget for these expenses to ensure that you have enough money to cover them every month. Get fixed on taking care of those fixed expenses. This is part two of expenses, monthly variable expenses. Now, these are the expenses that hurt your feelings. These are the expenses that most of us don't track but should track. I am preaching to myself first. So let's talk about variable expenses. Variable expenses are expenses that can vary from month to month, and they do. They are not fixed. You don't know what they're going to be at the end or the beginning of the month. Some of them happen spontaneously. You can't even control them, but they are expenses nonetheless. These expenses are typically called discretionary, and some of them can be based on your needs and your priorities. Here are some examples of monthly variable expenses, and most of these are typical expenses. Number one, your groceries. You know, we got to eat. We have to eat. We got to eat to stay alive. But that is an expense that is variable. especially during the holidays when you are entertaining guests or special occasions. Or maybe you just want, something a little different. You're changing your lifestyle, your eating habits. Your groceries are always going to be variable. And then sometimes when you get to the store, you didn't even know that that loaf of bread went up by another 75 cents. This is a perfect example of a variable expense. Your clothing and your personal care expenses are also variable. Travel experiences, i.e., your airfare, your hotel, your rent a car, some incidentals, miscellaneous that go along with that travel. Gifts and charitable donations, home repairs. Oh my goodness, I don't know how many times I have thought that, I've got a little bit in the bank and, I've got this little nest egg over here. And all of a sudden, the washing machine or the dryer goes out. That is a variable expense that you cannot control, but you need to make sure that you manage and you budget for that. Okay. Pets. You all know I got Twyla and Maisie, and it seems like every time they eat something that they're not supposed to have, we're in the vet. And of course, we all know that those vet bills, whether you have insurance or not, are not cheap at all. Hobbies or your recreational activities, especially during the summertime, spring and summer, when you want to be out. And then there's some people who like the colder time. They like to snow tube and ski and etc. Those are also variables. Your utility bills, your electricity, your gas, your water. Ciao. It is so hard trying to keep up with the rates, the renter rates, the summer rates, the water restoration program. Those are always going to be changing. And your transportation, like your gas in your car, tolls, parking, et cetera, et cetera. These expenses, of course, you all know, as I've already discussed, they vary from month to month based on your lifestyle, your needs, and your priorities. So it's important to keep a track of these expenses and to adjust your budget accordingly, which is what we usually have to manage to do to ensure that you are not overspending and you are able to meet your financial goals. So sometimes in some months, you may want to do something that is more cost effective, especially like with your hair. For me, I do my own hair, but there are times when I want to get a style like I have in my hair right now, and this lasts me a couple of months. So that means that my expenses, as far as daily care of my hair, it goes down. So protective styles protect not only your hair, but it protects your wallet too. So y'all, here we are. We are at the midpoint of the five bases of budgeting. And I'm hoping that this information has been helpful to you because now it is time to put this to practice. We have already calculated our net and our gross income. We've decided which ones are fixed and which of our expenses are variables. And now it is time for us to calculate what that monthly expense and our monthly budget should be. Oftentimes we just kind of, fly by the seat of our pants when it comes down to budgeting, especially when, we want something from the store. A lot of times, I like to bring myself in, right? Give you an example, let you know I'm relatable. A lot of times, we shop based on our moods. We're happy, we may go in to buy something that makes us happy. And if we're, um a little down in the dumps, we may find ourselves spending just a little bit too much time swiping up and down on a website. And so, what I want to do is arm you with the tools and give you at least 10 steps to calculate your monthly budget and what you should be trying to practice. Now, of course, you may hit some bumps in the road, and maybe some of this may not be applicable, or maybe some of you are already doing this, and that would be a great job. But let me tell you, if you're not doing it, just take notes, and hopefully, this will be something that you'll be able to incorporate into your life, and it'll just be like, turning on a light switch and turning it off. So number one, what Auntie wants you to do is determine what your monthly budget is. We've already done that. We've already calculated what our total income is. We know where the sources are coming from. We've included our salary, our bonuses, and our other income, right? We've already did our fixed expenses. We know what those are. We know what we're paying for every month, et cetera, et cetera. We know part three, step two is our variables. We've already identified that, there are different times when those expenses are going to go up and down, but we know that they're not reoccurring and we don't know what they are. So we have to prepare for them. So what you need to do now is just categorize your expenses. Group your expenses into a category, such as the housing, the transportation, the food, and entertainment, and other categories that make sense to your lifestyle. There, you may be one of those people that travel is a necessity for you. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure that you budget and you put that into a category so that you know what you're spending there, how much you can spend there versus another place. You may want to take away from your groceries and say, you know what, the hell with food, I want to travel. So that is your category. Okay. It's just like with anything else in your life, where you have your negotiables, your non-negotiables, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Now, what you want to do, as I said, you want to assign the amounts of money that you want to spend in each category. What is your priority? What is your lifestyle? Only you know what is comfortable for your lifestyle, what you want to do, and how you want to live. And that's fair. But what you're going to do is you're going to subtract that expense from your income. You got to subtract the total expenses from your total income to determine what your net is. Okay? You have to do that. And when you assign the dollar amounts to those categories, you want to do that based on your past spending habits and your current needs. So if you know that last year you spent $1,000 in travel and you spent 500 in groceries, you need to look at that and let that determine what your base budget is for this year. And then you need to adjust your budget. If your expenses are exceeding your income, you need to adjust your budget, sis. You need to reduce your expenses by increasing your income some kind of way. Or you're going to have to decrease those expenses. I mean, what do they say? You got to give a little to get a little. So you're going to have to make those adjustments that are right for you. I mean, what we don't want to do is continue to live from paycheck to paycheck because we don't know what's going out, but we certainly know what's coming in. And I think that that is the problem of a lot of people. They don't actually really realize what has gone outside. And so it's time for us to buckle down, put them in categories, look at your past and your present history, and make the adjustments. Okay. Set financial goals. You really need to do that. You should be doing that at the beginning and the end of the year. The end of the year should be the time that you reflect on what you had to do. You know that it's income tax time, and so that's a good time for you to do a printout, a PDF of your bank account, download that into your file. Okay, make sure you put some encryption on it and review it and look and see. I was shocked when I looked at mine and saw how many times I'd actually eaten out at Burger King and how much money I had spent there. And since that revelation, I think I've maybe gone there maybe twice this year now. Sometimes you don't even realize what it is. And this may be something you want to do on a quarterly basis. You may want to go to your banking institution, log on, and then do a PDF of it and look and see, where am I overspending? Where can I cut? Do I need to eat out this much? Or or do I take what I spent on eating out and balance it with the groceries? It's just a thought, ladies, okay? This is just a thought, but you need to set financial goals for yourself. You need to have a savings or a down payment for a house or paying off debt, and allocate those funds towards whatever those goals may be. You may be already living in a property that you thought would be the ideal house, your dream home. But now you realize that I just don't have enough space and my family's growing. And so, what you want to do is you want to make sure you allocate those funds to whatever it is that you want to live. Remember, this is your lifestyle. This is the way that you want to live. But we've got to make sure that we are, again, good stewards over our funding. And so, guess what? You need to make sure that you track your spending. Track your spending each month to ensure that you are staying within your budget and making progress towards your financial goals and securities. It's important that we follow these 10 steps that I just gave to you all so that we can be financially independent, financially strong, fiscally responsible with what we are doing with our money so that we can live that lifestyle that we always dreamed that we would live. Step four, y'all, plan your budget. So, I want to give you just a couple of tools that you can use in order to plan your budget. If you're anything like me, you don't often have the time that it requires to strategically, line by line, page by page, prepare your budget. But you at least need to plan for your budget. So I want to give you a couple of tools. One of them is an application called Mint. Mint is a free budgeting app that allows you to track your spending and create a budget, set financial goals, because planning your budget is also a goal planning. It also sends you alerts when you are close to exceeding your budget in a particular category. There's another tool that you can use called Personal Capital. Personal Capital is a free budgeting tool as well that allows you to track your spending, monitor your investments, and plan for your retirement. Right here. And it also offers you personalized financial advice based on your financial goals. Now, if you can afford it and it's something that you want to put into your variable expenses, you can do a application called YNAB, and that is you need a budget. It's a budgeting app that'll help you create a budget and track your spending and save money. It also offers educational resources to help you improve your financial literacy because a lot of us, we weren't taught that, right? Our parents were from the baby boomers and, they were creating, building, but they didn't know a lot about their finances. So these are applications that you can use to help you plan and monitor your budget. I'm gonna give you one more, and that's called Every Dollar. And Every Dollar is a budgeting app as well that allows you to create a budget and it tracks your spending and sets financial goals too. And it also offers a debt snowball tool to help you pay off your debt faster. So if you have something like I have a goal to pay off my mortgage in a certain amount of years, this application, Every Dollar, is good for me because it allows me to plug in those numbers and that I need, to see so I can set a goal, right? On how many years it going to take me to pay this mortgage off. Now, the average mortgage is 15 to 30 years, but Auntie got other goals. And so, when you use applications like this, and these are just suggestions, that's it. I'm not endorsing any of them. And I don't have a sponsorship with them. They're just tools that I'm suggesting that you may want to use in the future. But if you are the type of person and you have time on your hand, you can simply use an Excel or a Google spreadsheet. Excel or Google spreadsheets are programs that can be used to create a budget and track your spending. They offer a high level of customization and can be tailored to your specific needs and preferences. You can go to the application and you can actually get a template that will help you budget your life. Because at the end of the day, we all want to be able to live comfortably and we don't want to continue to live paycheck to paycheck and not know where our money is going. So, here are a couple of other things that you can use in order to plan your budget. you can do a daily budget method, right? This is a simple budgeting method that involves setting daily spending limits and tracking your expenses every day. It helps you to stay mindful of spending and avoid overspending. One of the things that I use personally is that I keep receipts and I look at those receipts and see how much I've spent. I've also told you previously that I go and I download a PDF of my transactions through my credit card, PayPal, or whatever. It is so easy now to lose track of your expenses and what you're spending out because you just swiping that card. Back in the day when we had cash, we knew when we only had $20 left. So with technology has come, it's come with the cost of being lazy, if you will, for lack of a better term. But when we swipe our cards, we're not realizing how much we're spending every day. And so if you're like me, you need to gather your receipts, look at your receipts and say, hey, how much am I spending here and how much have I spent there, right? And then they got the 50-30-20 rule. This is a budgeting tool that involves allocating 50% of your income to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% savings and debt repayment. Now, this is an old rule that you can use and you can apply to your life and to, your budgeting plan. You think about it, 50% of my life is going to go to my income needs. And where does that fall for you? So you can also use that. You can use a debt snowball method. And this is a debt repayment method that involves paying off your smallest debts first and then using the money to save to pay for larger debts later. It helps you to build momentum and stay motivated to pay off your debts because, we have a lot of debt. Some of us got a lot of debt. And, it doesn't make a difference at this point in your life where it came from, why happened. The thing that you want to do is just go ahead and pay it off. And you can pay it off little by little. And I know you are probably thinking, Auntie, I don't have money like that. You will be surprised if you start planning your budget, planning and looking at your expenses, how much money you really do have in order to get ahead or to stay ahead if you're already ahead. And then you can use, some people use what they call the cash envelope system. Now, I've never tried this, but I understand that it works for a great deal of Americans. This is a budgeting method that involves using cash envelopes to allocate funds for different categories. It helps you to stay on track with your budget and avoid spending. So you may have five envelopes. One of them may be rent, one of them may be utilities, the other one may be groceries, incidentals, and emergencies, right? So you keep those envelopes on hand, you put the money in it as you have. But I think that I don't know. I don't see that working for me, but it may work for some of you all who keep cash on hand. I am more of a swiper, no swiping type of person. So this wouldn't work for me, but I definitely wanted to make sure that I offer it to you as a method that you could use in order to plan out your budget for those of you all who still carry cash. And last but not least, do the savings challenge. This is a saving practice that involves setting a saving goal and challenging yourself to a certain amount each week or month. It helps you to build your savings and achieve your financial goals. Now, I know that some banks and some credit unions offer saving programs at the beginning of the year or the end of the year for like a Christmas account, maybe a vacation account, et cetera, et cetera. So this is that tool that you can use in order to challenge yourself to save a certain amount of money for a certain goal that you may have in mind. Step number 5, make it a habit. Make it a habit to be aware or at least more conscious of your expenses, how you're spending your money, and how you're saving it. Look, things don't come overnight, but I heard that if you do something for 3 days at least, you can make it a habit. It's important in 2023 that we are more self conscious and good stewards over our finances so that we can live the lifestyle that we would like to live. I know that for some of you, it may be easier said than done. But if we all do it together, we can do it one for the other. In closing, I just want to thank you all so much for being here. If you haven't already done so, please comment, subscribe, and hit that thumbs up button. I look forward to talking to you more about finances in 2023. And you know what? We're going to make it easy. Bye bye for now.